Hi everyone, this is Dr. Matt here. I hope you're doing fine, even though I do understand that under these circumstances, meaning COVID-19, it might be very difficult for all of us to function normally. Can you do something with a horrible situation that's out there when it comes to pandemic so that you come out of this crisis as a better person, as someone who's more successful professionally and personally? I believe you can. So stay with me and I'll do my best to answer this question in this video. Before I do, however, I'd like to tell you a few things, what's been going on with me during the last 2 months, because I believe that what I had been going through is also what you're going through. See, I had great, big, long-term plans, just like all of us. As a successful psychologist, I have basically achieved everything I wanted in life in Europe. I've written 20 books, I've delivered speeches in 7 languages, I've worked with big businesses like Google, Audi, Porsche, and many other. And I was just a happy human being who said to himself, listen, what's next in my development? So I decided to come to the US. I applied for a visa, and Americans gave me a green card that's called a Genius Visa, for which I was humbled because I was considered to be an alien with extraordinary abilities. So they said, Dr. Matt, we need you here. You're going to greatly help America become better, and improve lives of many people. So I said, perfect, I'm coming. And I was just packing my suitcases, and I had all these beautiful dreams, how in September my daughter goes to school in Manhattan and how she's going to have many international friends. My wife was already figuring out in which place we're going to rent an apartment, if it's going to be financial districts or maybe Tribeca in Manhattan or maybe in Soho. And we were so elaborately, so deeply involved into our planning that we didn't even consider that something could go wrong, because we used to function during the last couple dozen years of our lives under the premise that we control our lives. But then COVID-19 comes and it just turns everything around, and suddenly when it comes to our plans, I can see how my future is shrinking, and now I realize that most probably I won't come to the US in September, because planes don't fly, because we have been deprived of traveling, because of unemployment that's growing, not only over there in the US but everywhere in the world, because my business deteriorated and I wasn't able to stay with the people that I used to work with, but I needed to lay some people off. It was breaking my heart. I mean, suddenly I see my wife, who used to be very active professionally, now she's working from home. Supposedly home office is supposed to make your life easier. No, it does not, because people, instead of working 8 hours, they work for 11 hours or 12 hours, because you've got kids who all the time say, mommy, mommy, papi, papi, do something. So it's difficult. I mean, it's tough. People have been deprived of their basic needs. They couldn't even go outside, do sports. I mean, sports is responsible for endorphins, is responsible for making you happy, and suddenly we could not do all that. And media was telling us how bad it's gonna be, that it's gonna be worse, and so on and so on, people dying everywhere. And even if we have elderly people back home, then we would be afraid that they could suffer the most. So it's tough. I mean, it was difficult, and I felt, working with myself and with my clients, how difficult it was to function normally, because what used to be normal stopped being normal. So when I was there, somewhere deeply inside my mind, in another narrative, thinking, what can I do? How can I use this situation to my advantage? Fighting one emotion with another, sadness or anger or dissatisfaction or even betrayal, I was figuring out how I can use this situation to my advantage. Because see, every crisis is an opportunity to grow. Don't lose the chance to use this crisis for yourself. So finally, I said, okay, it's time. I used the tools that I know, that I've created during 20 years of my career, that I've encompassed together, that I call Mixed Mental Arts. It's a model that I have organized and I have made that's based on a simple premise. You need 8 basic skills in order to succeed in your life, both professionally and personally. So I started planning. I asked myself a question: when it comes to macro situation, what's happening in the world? What's going to happen in the next months and years, for sure? And see, it's difficult to plan if there's hyper turbulent environments because there's so much going on. But even though there's so many changes outside, actually, if you know what to look for, you can see certain patterns, like, for instance, digitalization. So you know what's going to happen. You know that people are going to function using internet. So there's a hint. Then I was honest with myself and I said, listen, what do I really enjoy doing in my life? Maybe this crisis is showing me something. Maybe I'm working too much. Maybe I should get closer with my family and see this was an amazing thing when I noticed that even though I was working for 12 or 13 hours a day, suddenly, and my wife was at home, suddenly I noticed that I work closer. So I was asking myself a question because I couldn't understand that. How is that possible that we're actually closer? Well, the reason was simple. Suddenly I was more inside than outside. Suddenly I was more with my daughter and with my wife rather than at work. Suddenly I was focusing on what I really love, which is Genesis, which is the basis, the dogmatic fundamentals of what I truly love, which is teaching people and helping them to grow professionally and personally. So I started analyzing my values and I restructured them. And I said, okay, so this is what's most important for myself, for me, and this is what I'm going to do. And started planning. And then I did the same thing with my wife, and then I did the same thing with my daughter. So that's how we connected. We decided what we're going to do and how we're going to function. And I'm not really sure when I'm coming to the US and if I'm going to live in New York, which has been badly hit, or maybe I'll go somewhere else, live in California, Florida. It doesn't really matter. But you know what does matter? What matters is to get back on track, is to be present, is to know what you're feeling, and rather than suppress it or move it away, use your emotions to ask yourself a question. What am I feeling now? What is this emotion telling me? If it had a voice, what would it say? And plan accordingly. Observe what's happening in external world so that you consider the markets, the sector situation, what's happening all around us in order to make certain plans. And once you start thinking about your future, you will see that automatically you feel better because you regain control over your life. And this is what I did. I started using mixed mental arts tools. I made myself be back on track again, felt better, helped the others. And here I am, still feeling every now and then a little bit down, sometimes a little bit up, but I know that I'm out of that abysmal crisis that psychologically, I believe, has traumatized most of us. So the message here is don't give up. You'll be fine. Everything is going to be okay. Just make sure that you use the right tools and ask yourself the right questions in order to plan for what's going to happen. See, sometimes we need to make a step back in order to move forward even faster. Sometimes we need to shrink in order to expand later on. So definitely with the help of the right tools, we're able to do that. And here is where mixed mental arts come in, because when it comes to management, marketing, spirituality, and personal development, definitely we are equipped, and the model is full of amazing tools that are going to help you get out of crisis. So stay with me, stay tuned, listen to all the pieces of advice that I'm sharing here with you, because definitely my mission, which is to help people, empower them, teach them, educate them, and give them tools that they can use to succeed in personal and professional lives, are still there. I'm still doing that. So subscribe to this channel, leave me a comment or any kind of question if you're interested and want to know more. Tell me about your problems. Tell me what's happening with you. Tell me what's on your mind. Tell me what kind of crisis you have. And I promise I will be present and I will help you and give you the right tools and tell you what needs to be done in order to get back on track. Thank you very much. Be well.